Finally.
Let's work out.
I'll give you this.
How's everybody today?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, lunch.
Hi.
Upside.
Dad, can you turn me down the Says hi, this is Kitty. Yeah. I only went to I can go on top. Yikes. You could have recurring. Yikes.
Okay.
I'm trying to go one way. Left.
Okay, I will go ahead and mute everybody. Oh, we're coming in very slowly today. I sort of have the feeling that some of us are getting tired of Zoom. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was kind of new and different, and everybody came in like, "Ooh, what does this button do? What does this do?" And now you're all coming in kind of like this. So I get it. I'm feeling the same way. Mrs. Min, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you.
Great.
We just put Tara away. She was walking around for a long time around the house, exploring. So we just put her away. Now she's gonna have a nice nap.
Why am I unmuted? Who unmuted me? Who unmuted me?
Leo, you can just mute yourself, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Because who unmuted me?
I didn't. I don't know.
Because you unmuted yourself.
I long ago gave up on trying to control all of this. Okay. Great, Mrs. Min. I hope everybody else is doing well over there. How are the humans at your house?
The humans are doing well too.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. All right. I remembered this morning that some of you had asked me to post the magic trick, and some stuff happened right after Read Aloud on Friday, so I did not remember until just this morning. So I'll try to post it later today. My apologies to anybody that was missing that. And then Nigel, where are ya?
Yeah.
Hey, what did you want to know about the cardboard contest, mister?
What time is it?
I don't know.
To do it.
So it's in Gavin's hands now. Gavin Arena.
What did you do?
I have passed all of the pictures that you sent me on to Gavin. I will tell you, I believe we had a lot more people enter the contest than when the Upper L did it. So it's probably going to take him a few days to go through all of those pictures.
Okay.
So let's give him some time. I told him that whenever he was ready, that he could let me know, and then I'd have him join us for Read Aloud so he could make the announcement. Okay? So you'll hear from him as soon as he's finished going through everything. But we need to give him some time because he's doing that on top of all of his schoolwork. So we're gonna need to be patient. Okay. So I'm going to start with chapter 10. This is after the dinner party where something unusual happened. Sandra said she had to go to the restroom. And then she said that the restroom didn't have toilet paper. And then a whole bunch of stuff crashed. I can't remember what all crashed. And then there was some suspicion because the other Mr. Vernon definitely remembered that he had replenished the toilet paper in the bathroom. So are you like me starting to feel a little suspicious of this Sandra woman?
Yes, and
Yes. Okay. Yes, Leo? Yes, Leo?
I couldn't hear you, and then it just popped out the noise.
Huh, you're having some interesting things happen with your sound today. I'm glad you're hearing me now.
I started reading this already, and this is where I stopped, and I'm still suspicious.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Chapter 10.
I read all of this, so I know.
A few days after the Vernon's dinner party, Lila, Carter, Theo, and Ridley made their way up the hill. From town toward the Grand Oak Resort. The sun was beginning to dip toward the western horizon, and the shadows of trees were stretching long across the grass. The sky was painted a deep, comforting blue, and the wisps of high clouds were like strokes of white left by feather flowers. The enormous white lodge was just ahead. The group went around the side and to the back, where they usually met their friends. They trailed along one of the footpaths that connected all the other outer buildings to many of the resort's recreational activities. Quaint gables rose up from the dark rooftops, and green shutters accented every window. Lila thought of these grounds as her second home. The apartment over the magic shop was lovely, but the Grand Oak had everything from pools to a magnificent view overlooking mineral wells. Lila often accompanied her papa when he came to work, if for no other reason than to stroll among the gardens. On the other side of a shaded floral bower, the Golden twins were cartwheeling through the grass. Izzy planted her feet and crouched down as Ollie leapt onto her shoulders. Izzy rose up, swift as a piston, grasping her brother's legs. They stood in the field watching as the misfits approached in awe of their gymnastic skills. Izzy called to Ollie, "You've gained some weight." Ollie patted his belly. "Thanks to all my friends called donuts." Suddenly, Izzy looked like she could no longer hold her brother up. As they tipped, Izzy dropped to her knees and Ollie tumbled into a perfect somersault.
I'm not eating anything.
Landing in a perfect pose, arms outstretched, hands waving. It was all part of the show with these two. Lila and the others broke into enthusiastic applause. Upon seeing their friends, the twins then burst into an a cappella song, harmonizing in comic falsetto, box-stepping, and pirouetting. "Welcome, welcome, one and all. Nice to see you guys and dolls. A lot's gone on. Have things been funky? We heard you almost caught a monkey. We've missed you much. What a strange week. Check our pockets. Have a peek." Synchronized, the twins held open their vest pockets. Before anyone could get too close, two pink noses stuck up out of the shadows. Ridley shrieked and rolled back her chair. Theo wrinkled his nose. "Are those mice?" "We wanted a magical assistant," said Ollie. "We've spent all day training them," Izzy chimed in. "To do what?" asked Carter. Ollie and Izzy glanced at each other. "So far, they're very good at squeaking," Izzy said brightly, spinning the statement to sound impressive. "Where did you get them?" asked Lila. "We caught them out here in the yard," said Ollie. Izzy nodded. "They practically jumped into our hands." I'm not sure why you would need magical assistance, said Ridley, since you're not officially magicians. Aren't we? Asked Ollie. Laughter is the best magic of all. Actually, actual magic is the best magic of all, said Izzy. Whatever, Ollie said. Besides, I don't need to be saddled with a label. It's good to leave your options open, to try a little bit of everything. Tap dancing, singing, miming, acting, librarying. Izzy rolled her eyes. That's not a word. You're not a word, Ollie retorted. My point is there are endless possibilities to what we can teach these mice. Endless, Izzy added. Math, chemistry, French cuisine. Oh, yes, said Ollie. I love a good boeuf bourguignon. Hey, Izzy? Yes, Ollie? What do you call a mouse who excels at oration? Oration means giving a speech. I don't know, Ollie. What? A public squeaker. Hey, Ollie. Yes, Izzy? Where do mice shop for groceries? I don't know, Izzy. Where? The mini mart. Lila, Carter, and Theo chuckled politely, while Ridley let out a groan. I think your material needs some work. Anyway, I'm very happy you've made some new friends, but I'm here to call our meeting to order if everyone is ready. Ridley handed her notebook to Carter, who had become the club's unofficial secretary. Roll call, Ridley sang out. When she spoke each member's name, that person answered, here. Except for Ollie, who said, present. Ooh, I love presents. Does anyone have a gift for me? Announcements, Ridley said. Let's hear them. Izzy raised her hand. How did the dinner with Sandra Santos go? You two should have seen it, said Carter. She read our fortunes and talked to her spirit guides and tripped downstairs when she saw Basso's monkey looking in the shop window at her. So that monkey's still around? Ollie asked. Apparently, said Lila. Sandra sounds like a hoot, said Izzy. No, Izzy, said Ollie. A hoot sounds like this. Woohoo! Woohoo! Wow, Ollie, you're pretty good at that, Izzy said sarcastically. Maybe you can befriend an owl and get wise. Har, har, Ollie said. Sorry we couldn't be there. Sandra sounds like she knows her way around a good performance. She really does, Lila noted. Have you seen her around the resort at all? She attended our show this morning, Ollie said. She clapped really hard. Very nice of her. She even looks like she might be psychic, said Izzy. She's certainly got the right hair for it. Long, wavy, and, she whispered this next part, filled with secrets. There's no such thing as psychic, Ridley moaned. Then how did she know so much about us? Asked Lila. A dozen different ways, probably. I mean, she had plenty of time here at the resort to ask around about us before returning to dinner, Ridley suggested. After everything that happened with Basso, people know a little bit about us now. Carter cringed. Hopefully not too many people. I did a little more reading last night about some of the self-proclaimed psychics of the past century, said Ridley. Did you know that Harry Houdini was not only famous for escaping impossible traps, but also for debunking fake psychics? Just a minute. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. Did you know Harry Houdini was not only famous for escaping impossible traps, but also for debunking fake psychics? He was, Lila asked. I've never heard that before, and I love that guy. We are aware, Theo noted. Houdini was part of this club whose mission was to stop people from believing in fortune tellers, Ridley continued. In most of the old photos where the spiritualists were supposedly spitting out this ghostly slime called ectoplasm, Houdini figured out it was actually just made of wet cheesecloth. Theo chimed in. I have seen a photograph in a book of a man who was levitating several feet off the ground. But if you examine the image closely, it is apparent that he jumped off his chair in the middle of the shot. Disappointing. But what Sandra did seemed so real, said Lila. feeling the key hanging around her neck. If you really think about Sandra's so-called readings, Ridley went on, mostly she just said something vague. Then we filled in the blanks for her. We wanted to believe it was true. I don't believe in her mumbo jumbo about speaking to spirit guides or ghosts or whatever. Oh, hey, we do have an announcement, Izzy said, elbowing her brother. About having tuna on rye for lunch? Ollie asked. That's hardly news. No, knucklehead, Izzy said. The ghosts. Oh, yeah, the ghosts, Ollie said. What ghosts? Ridley snorted. Ollie jumped up and down, excited. Word has been spreading all week that the Grand Oak Resort is haunted. Haunted? Carter asked. By who? Or should we ask, by what? Corrected Theo. Come closer and we'll tell you the tale, Izzy cooed, making her voice low and dramatic. Our friends on the maintenance staff have seen and heard things in the old abandoned wing of the main lodge. Strange things. 'Tis true, said Ollie, mimicking his sister's tone. Things they cannot explain. In recent weeks, staff has heard voices and seen shadows moving about within the building. Only problem is, the abandoned wing has been locked up tight for years. Theo and Lila both shivered from a sudden chill. Yeah, right, Ridley said. That's hardly evidence of ghosts. A nearby door banged open and the kids all jumped. Phew! No ghost, Izzy said. Just Dean the bellhop. A thin old man wearing a droopy green hotel uniform was dragging an old mop behind him. Dean, Ollie called. The old bellhop looked at the misfits as Izzy waved him over. You've heard the rumors about the ghosts of the Grand Oak Resort, right? Oh, yeah, said Dean. It's got everyone pretty spooked. Some of the maids are superstitious and too scared to go near the old wing. Mr. Arnold, the manager, is at his wit's end. He's already threatened to fire some of them if they don't do their jobs. And just who are these supposed ghosts? Asked Ridley, still doubtful. Can't say, because I don't know. What I do know is that a bunch of bad stuff happened in that old wing. That's why it's still closed to this day. Dean looked over his shoulder as if to see whether anyone was watching him. Long time ago, there was a fire in the rear wing. Lots of damage. I think somebody got hurt. Cops never found out who did it, but rumor is that crazy guy who runs the magic shop in town started it with some of his friends back when they were kids. What? Lila gasped. That crazy guy is my dad. Dean's face flushed as red as the roses in the garden across the lawn. Oh, pardon me, miss. Didn't mean no offense. Carter glanced at the group. Wait a second. Mr. Vernon started the fire? It's all just talk, Dean said, unsure. The hotel rebuilt the wing, but soon after that there were horrible rains and the roof didn't hold up. Water damage. They did repairs, but after that was an attack of black mold, followed by termites, mice, spiders, you name it, like the place was cursed. Finally, the owners decided to just wall off the whole thing and use it as storage. One day, I hear, they'll try to open the wing again, but I doubt it'll happen anytime soon. After all this time, there's probably all kinds of ghosts in there. His face dropped as if he suddenly realized that he was talking with a bunch of kids, and he added, but if anyone asks you, you didn't hear any of that from me. Later, Dean, said Ollie, waving as the bellhop walked away slowly, dragging his mop with him. That old guy sure does like to gossip. Do you really think my dad had something to do with the fire? Lila asked. No way, Carter said. Sounds like a hoax to me. But what about the ghosts? Theo asked. Perhaps the magic misfits should look into it. Ridley threw her hands in the air. Ghosts aren't real. Remember what Mr. Vernon said, Carter noted. It's not whether magic is real or not. It's what you believe. Same applies to ghosts. Fine. In that case, the misfits absolutely should investigate, said Ridley with a look of intrigue. What if we do find ghosts? Izzy asked. That'll make the Grand Oak even more famous. Hey, what do they serve for breakfast at a haunted hotel? Ollie guessed. Ghost toast? Izzy nodded, adding, with blueberry jam. I hope the hotel is haunted, said Ollie. It would bring in even more guests to see us perform, Izzy added. Not if the staff is fired for being superstitious, Carter said. I don't like the idea of anyone getting fired for being afraid. We should look into it and get to the bottom of this nonsense. Ridley saw that Lila was looking at the ground. Hey, buck up, Lila. I'm sure that old Dean doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know. My dad always seems to have so many secrets, Lila whispered. So let's look into the ghosts, and maybe we'll learn more about the fire. Great idea, Lila said, finally smiling again. It would be horrible if anyone at the Grand Oak had to lose their job because they're too scared to work here. Lila clapped as a brilliant idea burst forth. We should ask Sandra to talk to the ghosts. She can ask them to leave. If there's one thing people in Mineral Wells love, it's a show. And pizza, said Ollie. People in Mineral Wells are crazy about pizza. And ice cream, said Izzy. People in Mineral Wells just adore a show, Ridley interrupted. Good idea, Lila. What room did Sandra say she was staying in? Chapter 11. Sandra Santos speaking, said the voice through the receiver. Hi, Sandra. It's Lila calling from the lobby downstairs. Lila, what a surprise. I was just thinking about you. Would you like to come up for some tea? I could read your leaves. That's the thing, Lila answered. My friends and I were wondering if you wouldn't mind coming down instead. There's something going on in the rear wing that we need your help with. By the time Lila went outside again, a small crowd of employees and guests had gathered on the back patio. Everyone was whispering to one another, intrigued. Lila leaned into Carter's ear and said, Where'd all these people come from? Carter shrugged. While you were on the phone with Sandra, Dean the bellhop was telling the other employees that there was going to be a seance, and word spread quickly. I guess he was eavesdropping on us. Children, Sandra called from across the patio, holding her arms out as if she might scoop them all up into an enormous hug. Today, Sandra was dressed in a floor-length chartreuse paisley caftan. A green teardrop-shaped I'm having so much trouble today. Chartreuse is a bright green, kind of like safety green, very, very bright. So she's wearing a floor-length chartreuse. Paisley means it's got a swirly design on it. And a caftan means it's got long, big sleeves and a long dress that goes all the way to the floor. A green teardrop-shaped gem dangled in the center of her forehead from a gold-colored headband that pinched her hair into a funny mushroom. Thank you for calling me. You know, I always believed this place was haunted. Sandra indicated the rear wing of the lodge. The seance is going to be so enlightening and fun. Talking to ghosts is fun? Ridley asked. Helping people is fun, said Sandra, looking at the crowd, which was continuing to grow. They were all staring at the glamorous-looking woman in the paisley caftan. It turned out that Ollie was right. Dean the bellhop was quite the gossip. Sandra pretended not to notice the crowd. I think we can all agree that's a good thing, no? Ridley actually blushed and then nodded. Lila couldn't hold her tongue any longer. She grabbed Sandra by the hand and led her to the side. Sandra, can you tell us about the fire? I heard a rumor that my dad started it with his friends. Was it the Emerald Ring? Sandra grimaced and shook her head. I know nothing about that. But if there was a fire, I highly doubt Dante would have had anything to do with it. Now we have a crowd waiting. Let's get started, shall we? Lila's throat swelled with embarrassment. She shouldn't have mentioned it. Not here, not now. Sandra looked up at the building's facade. Curtains were drawn across most of the windows, and a blackness stared down at them from the windows that were open. Despite the humidity of the afternoon, Lila felt a brisk chill sweep across her skin. Sandra squinted as if to show that she wasn't afraid, which made Lila feel somewhat better. Sandra grappled with the knob of the back door, but it appeared to be locked. Does anyone have the key? Key, Lila thought. The pendant under her shirt felt cool against her sternum. Could this be the moment that Sandra had predicted? Was Lila wearing the tool that would somehow open the lodge's back door? But she didn't need a key to do that, she thought. The lucky lockpicks in her pocket would do the job just as easily. Lila wouldn't dare work on this lock in front of a crowd, though. People might start to think she was a burglar. Here, Dean stepped forward, holding up his hand. He rattled a large keyring before opening the door and stepping inside. A dank aroma wafted out. It made Lila think of the closets at Mother Margaret's home. Sandra approached the entry. Clasping the two sides of the door frame, she stiffened her spine as if something inside was affecting her in a profound way. Oh, yes, there are definitely spirits here. I hear them calling out, do you? She asked the gathering people. A general murmur rose up. Lila couldn't tell if they were agreeing or disagreeing. Personally, Lila didn't hear any sounds other than the wind through the trees and a train horn calling out in the distance. Turning to the misfits, Sandra added, come, I need the assistance of my new friends. Our connection will only help build up the energy needed to connect with the beyond. Lila glanced at the others. Ridley wore a skeptical grimace. Carter looked curious. Theo looked puzzled, as if he needed to see and hear more before making up his mind. Ollie and Izzy both tittered with excitement. Lila felt a mix of all these emotions. Together, the group stepped toward the door. Sandra had them stand in a circle and clasp hands. She told them, I need you to concentrate, listen, and be still. She closed her eyes and began to speak. Dear friends who are lost and wandering, hear me, send me a sign. The crowd started to whisper and point up at the windows. From the corner of her eye, Lila thought she saw movement behind some of the panes without curtains. But when she looked fully, she realized the windows were empty. Chills tickled her whole body. It is a truth, universally acknowledged, Sandra said, that we create a home where we feel the greatest safety, the greatest comfort. And so it follows that the spirits might think of this hotel as their home. I don't blame them. Who among us would like to never leave the Grand Oak? The crowd laughed, and several hands shot up. But in order for this wonderful hotel to continue with business as usual, I must ask these troublesome spirits to consider moving on. At once, some of the windows overlooking the rear patio began to shake and rattle in their frames. A murmur rose among the crowd, and Lila's jaw dropped in awe. Ridley looked up at the building, one eyebrow raised as if she was trying to figure out Sandra's trick. Lila wanted to believe it was true and real. If it was a trick, it was a well-planned one. Don't be angry, Sandra shouted, throwing back her head as if enthralled to the spirit world. This is for your own good. Find your light in the darkness. The windows rattled even harder. Walk on, step into the glow, into the warmth. Find your loved ones there. They will help you create your new home. Several flares flashed behind the darkened windows. The crowd screamed, and Sandra shuddered, flinging herself to the ground in the center of the misfit circle, landing on her hands and knees. The kids gave her space, as if she too might burst into a bright white light. There was a long moment where Sandra shook as though she were experiencing a personal earthquake. Lila was on the verge of stopping the seance, but Sandra raised her hand, asking her to wait. A moment later, Sandra calmed. She lifted her head. Her face looked slack, exhausted. She stood and brushed herself off, then turned to look up at the abandoned wing. They heeded my plea, she told her audience. Your hotel is now ghost-free. The crowd began to cheer. Theo and the Golden Twins clapped vigorously, but not as much as Lila, who clapped the hardest. The applause ended when an angry voice called out from the back of the patio, "What is the meaning of this?" Okay, I think I can read one more chapter. Yes, definitely. Alina mentioned that she feels like there's something fishy about Dean, the bellhop. Anybody else feel that way? Yeah, he kind of shows up at just the right moment, huh? Okay, chapter 12. The crowd parted and a small man in a white suit stepped forward. Lila recognized the hotel's manager immediately, Mr. Arnold. He wore his dark hair parted precisely down the center of his scalp. His face always boiled red, even when he wasn't angry. He looked around at the members of his staff who were standing in the crowd. They glanced down and spread out, trying to avoid his gaze. "Well," he demanded, "what is this?" "Hi, Mr. Arnold," said Izzy, waving as if she could simply shoo away his temper with a flick of her wrist. "Madame Esmeralda was doing a seance to get rid of the ghosts that were haunting the rear wing of the lodge. She's incredible." "Ghosts? Who said anything about ghosts?" Mr. Arnold scanned the crowd, making sure that none of the guests appeared disturbed. "Madame Esmeralda is actually quite famous," said Theo. "She performs all across the country, in front of huge crowds." The hotel guests who had been watching let out a cheer. Mr. Arnold seemed to bask in the applause as if he were the one who had just done something incredible. Several women approached Sandra and asked her if she would be performing again before the end of the weekend. A couple others inquired about private readings. Sandra reached into her sleeve and handed them what looked like business cards. After seeing these interactions, the manager's expression changed from shock and frustration to smooth gratitude. He shook Sandra's hand. "It just so happens that our headliner 2 nights from now has canceled," Mr. Arnold whispered to her. "I would be honored if you would fill in." Sandra beamed. "I'd be thrilled." Mr. Arnold clapped his hands. "Wonderful," he exclaimed. "I'll have my team start advertising the show immediately. After what you did just now and the way people talk in this town, the house is sure to be packed." With a wide grin, he turned and engaged with the resort guests. "This is so exciting," said Lila. "We get to see you on stage here at the Grand Oak." "It all worked out perfectly," said Theo. "And I have you to thank," Sandra said to the misfits. "Seems to me as though you 6 might just be better at this than my agent. Well then, if I'm to put together a show, I'd better start getting prepared. See you all very soon." And with that, she twirled her caftan and started back up the path toward the main entrance. "What just happened?" Ridley asked, looking baffled. "Magic?" asked Carter. Ridley went on. "But should we believe it? I have my doubts." Lila smacked her lips. "Right now, I believe that I'm really thirsty. Let's go see Papa in the kitchen. I can't wait to tell him what happened." "Whoops," Ollie cried. One of the mice had crawled out of his vest pocket and scrambled up to his shoulder. "Gotcha," said Izzy, snatching up the rodent and cradling it like a baby. The other mouse peeked out of Izzy's vest pocket to see what was going on. "Look how adorable they are. Maybe the other Mr. Vernon can give them some water too. I think we should call them Ozzy and Illy," said Ollie. "That might get confusing," said Izzy. Izzy was correct. It did get confusing. In the resort kitchen, the kids found the other Mr. Vernon pouring what would become little chocolate souffles into individual ramekins. "Hey, Mr. V," Carter said, "could we have some lemonade?" "Of course, help yourselves." "Papa," Lila practically shouted as she hugged her father, "you'll never guess what happened." "You are absolutely correct," he said with a tilt of his chef's hat, "but I hope you'll tell me." Words burst forth from Lila's mouth. As she told him about the events of the last hour, Carter poured everyone glasses of ice-cold lemonade. When Lila finished her story, her papa looked impressed. He enveloped her in a great big bear hug. "Sandra must be so pleased. I bet she'll save you the best seats in the house." I am intrigued to see what else she can do, said Theo. But let's talk about what she did do, said Ridley. Or did, said Ollie. Did ski bop a diddle do, Izzy improvised. Ridley rolled her eyes at the twins, and they quieted, suddenly interested in what was in their vest pockets. There were a bunch of flashing lights behind the curtains, said Ridley. Don't you think she could have controlled those somehow with, I don't know, electricity? I'll bet she has some helpers, said Carter. But who? Asked Lila. Sandra didn't say anything about bringing a whole group of people to Mineral Wells with her. Perhaps Sandra set it all up herself, Theo suggested. I imagine she could have used ropes or maybe wires to manipulate the windows. Though Lila usually loved debunking tricksters and questioning illusions, she found herself getting strangely aggravated. Sandra was so worldly and fashionable and fun. Lila wished the misfits would give her the benefit of their doubts. Lila found herself on the edge of telling her friends to stop it when the other Mr. Vernon said, "What are those?" He pointed his spoon at the mouse noses peeking out from Ollie and Izzy's pockets. Certainly not mice, said Ollie. Out of my kitchen, the other Mr. Vernon demanded. I love you kids, but you have health code violation written all over your new pocket friends. Out, please. Thanks for the lemonade, Carter said, pushing Ollie and Izzy toward the exit. Love you, Papa, Lila added, following the group to the lounge area beyond the kitchen doors. Bad, Ozzy and Illy, Ollie said. No cheese for you. Come on, let's get our mice back home. We have rehearsal, Izzy noted. And the rest of us should get going too, Ridley said. I have a new trick at home that needs my attention. As the kids moved through the lounge, Lila saw that the tall-backed, pleated leather chairs and dense dark wood side tables were arranged into small seating areas. Moose, deer, and bear head trophies hung from the walls. Enormous potted palms, ferns, fiddle leaf fig trees, and birds of paradise plants greened up the space, giving privacy to the people who were seated, reading newspapers or huddling together in hushed conversation. When she had first come to Mineral Wells, Lila would play alone in this room, hiding among the grand plants, pretending the animal trophies were hunting her and she needed to be sneaky enough to escape from them. She smiled at the happy memory. The misfits were almost at the exit when the sound of Sandra's voice came from somewhere nearby, stopping Lila in her tracks. Sandra's still down here, she said. Where? Ridley asked. I don't see her. There, said Carter, pointing to a far corner of the lounge. The woman sat by herself in one of the leather chairs, wearing a worrying expression. She was leaning backwards as if trying to hide among the leaves of one of the giant decorative plants. Lila corralled the group behind a wide column. What's wrong with her? She asked. Do you think she's all right? She seems to be talking to herself, said Theo. What's she saying, though? Do you think she's still trying to communicate with the hotel ghosts? Ridley sighed. There are lots of reasons she might be talking to herself. Maybe she's running through her stage performance in her head. Maybe she's thinking of the supplies she'll need. Maybe she's just insane. That's not nice, Ridley, Lila said. I never said I was nice, Ridley said with a wicked little smile. Izzy and I talk to ourselves all the time, said Ollie, and we're perfectly normal. We're also normally perfect, Izzy added with a tap dance flourish. Well, I am at least. From the privacy of her leather chair, Sandra hissed at seemingly no one. Absolutely not. I won't do it. Peering around the column, Lila could see the woman's face turning red. Sandra was about to burst into tears. Lila stepped forward and rushed over, calling out to Sandra, Is everything okay? Flustered, Sandra scrambled to her feet. Lila, what are you still doing here? Lila stammered, but nothing else would come out of her mouth. Everything is fine, said Sandra, her fearful expression melting away into a sad smile. I just need to go up to my room now. But I'll be in touch, okay? Make sure you tell Dante about the show. I'd hate for him to miss it. Okay. When Lila blinked, she found that the woman was already racing away toward the lobby staircase. The three others came up quietly behind her. What was that all about? Asked Theo. Lila's cheeks flushed, but she forced a smile. I'm not really sure. That evening, Lila and Carter sat by the light of a long taper candle and drank sweet birch beer with Mr. Vernon in the parlor of the apartment. The sound of peeping tree frogs drifted in through the open windows as Carter told him about the day. Mr. Vernon snapped his fingers absent-mindedly at the flame, changing it from yellow to green to blue to red. Each time it changed, Carter gave a small cheer. Lila was in an uncharacteristically quiet mood. Finally, she broke her silence. Dad, did the emerald ring ever hang out at the Grand Oak Resort? Mr. Vernon seemed to consider how to answer. We did, yes. Quite a bit, actually, in the rear wing of the lodge when it was still habitable. But eventually we drifted apart. That's weird, said Carter. Sandra didn't mention anything about that. Lila wanted to ask her dad about the fire that Carter had neglected to bring up, but she was nervous that discussing the rumor would put a clamp on his sudden willingness to talk. It's not weird at all, Mr. Vernon said. The best magicians know how to control their audience's attention. Whatever happened today, those tales of a haunting followed by a seance, happened because Sandra wanted them to. What do you mean? Asked Lila. Let me ask a question. When did the rumors of the ghosts at the Grand Oak begin? Ollie and Izzy said it was just recently, Carter answered. Interesting. Mr. Vernon sipped from his glass. What's so interesting about that? Asked Lila. Mr. Vernon licked at his mustache as if he was pretending not to hear. I think what he's saying is that there's a connection between Sandra arriving at the Grand Oak and the rumors of the haunting starting up. That is a strange coincidence, said Mr. Vernon. But maybe it's not a coincidence, right, Dad? The man with the curly white hair stared out the window, a smile creeping across his face. My, it finally seems to be cooling off. Do you feel the breeze? Lila groaned. Her dad was doing that thing where he'd give her a tiny hint and then expect her to figure out exactly what was on his mind. So you're saying that Sandra arranged all of it? Mr. Vernon finally faced her again. Magicians' tricks can sometimes have very long setups before they pay off. Can you tell us anything more about your old club, Mr. Vernon? Carter asked. What did you guys do in your meetings? Who were your other friends? Oh, we weren't so different from your own magic club. Mr. Vernon yawned and then stood up. But it's already so late. I'm afraid any more stories would only bore you to sleep. If only there were a place in Mineral Wells where you could search for the answers to your questions. He wandered into the kitchen to put his empty glass in the sink. Then he called out, Good night. A place in Mineral Wells? Carter repeated to Lila. Another hint, she said, rolling her eyes, amused that her dad was so predictable and also not. It would be easier if he would just tell us, Carter said, laughing. Lila raised her eyebrows. We already know that Dante Vernon does not do easy. And with that, the two gave each other a quick hug and went off to bed. But they didn't go to sleep, not right away. Lila could hear Carter knocking on the wall between their rooms. It followed a recognizable pattern, Ridley's Morse code homework. His knocks came again. Lila clutched at her key, which was resting on her chest, and she tapped a return message on the wall beside her bed. After that, his knocking stopped, and the sound of the tree frogs peeping from outside was like a lullaby, luring Lila to sleep. Okay, when I upload the magic trick, I will also upload this page so you can try to decode the Morse code messages, okay? Alrighty, I'm gonna stop there. Okay, I have a couple things in chat to discuss before we go. Danny, the cardboard contest is in Gavin Arena's hands now. And this is for anybody who joined us late. So I've passed all of the pictures that I got and videos that I got on to Gavin Arena. And he is going to take charge of looking at them all and judging them and ranking them in order. So he's going to need a few days to work on that. So I have told Gavin that whenever he's ready, he's going to let me know. And then he's going to join us again at Read Aloud to share those results with you. Okay? Carissa ironically had lemonade on her mind already today, and then it turned up in the story, which is kind of funny. Alina, where is Alina? Alina, give me a wave. I can't find you. There you are. There you are. Okay, Alina has a picture to show us.
Okay.
Ooh, that's cool. I love the cool colors you chose. That's lovely. How long did that take you?
It took me about 3 days, I think.
My goodness, very nice. Very nice indeed. Do you want to show it one more time? Because some other people might like to try that. So it looks like you just made a lot of overlapping circles.
Yeah.
And
And,
then
then I overlapped the circle with marker,
Uh-huh.
black marker.
Yep, you outlined it. Yep.
Different, like, I chose cool colors to put inside, like colors that kind of look like water to put inside of it.
Ooh, yeah. Alina, would you, I'm putting you on the spot a bit, but if you would like, you could write up the instructions for how you did that and send them to me, and then I could send them to everyone.
Okay.
Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I see a few faces that tell me that that was a great idea. A couple of you got real excited about that. Okay. Thanks, Alina. Awesome. Gabe, nice job on your math facts. Kaya says excellent. Okay, awesome. Let me see if I can unspotlight you. There we go. Okay, folks. I think that was it for announcements. Yes, Danny.
It was really cool.
Alina's
I liked
picture?
it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I agree. Did anybody get to go outside and see if you have any extra animals showing up in your yard today with all the water?
I saw 2 bunnies, actually the same bunny. Once yesterday, one today.
Yeah.
Saw a snake yesterday.
A snake?
Yep, right at our front door, and it started slithering down a hole in our. It was really cool. It started like going down into the mulch, and it just disappeared.
Ooh, yeah. Was it a garter snake?
Yeah, it was a gardener snake, but it was a really big gardener snake.
Yeah, yeah. Those are pretty common. Addie, how about you? Addie, what did you find?
A couple of days ago, there were some mallard ducks flying about, and they landed on my roof.
Oh, was it a pair, a male and a female?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, that's funny. Just hanging out up there. They're funny when you see them try to start flying because they have to work so hard with their wings to try to get in the air, don't they? Miles, what did you spot?
We had 4 ducks in our backyard.
Ooh, Duck City back there.
Yeah, and they woke us up because they were quacking.
That's awesome. How about you, Ava? What have you discovered? I'm trying to unmute you from my side and it doesn't seem to be working. Oh, there you go.
I saw a leopard frog.
A
And a
leopard
front yard.
frog? Wow, that's unusual. Okay. Excellent. Brayden, how about you?
There was a cat on my deck the other day.
Oh, okay. So not necessarily a rainy day animal, just an animal. That's exciting though. How about
Did you keep
Sam?
it?
Very tall grass.
Very tall grass, yeah. It's hard to mow the grass when it's wet like this, isn't it?
Very tall grass.
The grass is not going to get mowed for a day or two, that's for sure. Sama, I'm trying to unmute you, dear. Can you try from your side? There you go.
I saw a toad and I also saw two bunnies.
Ooh.
I saw a male cardinal, a female cardinal, and I also saw a black cat.
Wow.
Did you keep it?
That's a lot of wildlife.
Yeah,
Maybe not so wildlife. Okay.
I know, because in our backyard we have like trees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did you keep the cat?
No.
Did it have a collar?
She said it was a black cat. Ada.
So on my birthday, we took a walk, and since they were changing the sidewalk panels, and a lot of them are really crooked, and it had just rained a lot. There was a bunch of water in the spots where it was empty, and then we saw a pair of ducks, one female and a male, and then chased it, and then they're like, "Arrgh!" Nana started to.
Okay, that sounds exciting. So, the leopard frog, we had some questions about the leopard frog. It is a frog. I pulled up a picture here. It looks like this. Is that like the one? I forget who saw this one. Who was that? Ava? Is that like the one you saw? Yeah, okay. And they live really all over the eastern United States, but we're kind of on the edge, I think, of their range. So that was a good, well spotted. Those are not the most common ones to spot. Great. Gavin, did you have something to say? Oh no, that's a clapping hand you've got there, not a raising hand. Jazzy, what animals did you spot?
So a couple of days ago, when we were looking for tadpoles for our ponds because my mom wanted some.
Hey Jazzy, keep talking. I'm gonna shut your video off so that we can hear you better. Go ahead, keep talking. You saw what? Tell me what else you saw.
Okay, so a couple of days. So we were looking for tadpoles, and instead of finding tadpoles, we saw ducklings.
You did? Are they in a safe place where they're going to be able to stay?
Well, we saw them out in the wild, so.
Oh, okay. So they're good. They're going to be fine. Okay. That is so cool. You might have to start your video up for me. That is so cool. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, Faith.
Birds?
What kind of birds?
I don't know. Maybe it's a pigeon or something.
Yep, that's possible. Sure.
It always come to our house.
So you see them every day. Yeah. I told some kids this morning that I saw, but I put up my first bird feeder this morning. I never had a bird feeder before. And I put it up at 8:30 this morning. And by 9 o'clock, I already had a pair of cardinals there, a male and a female. They came right away. So I'm very excited now. But I was tempted to go buy a bunch more bird feeders. I was so excited, but I think I'll calm down. Let's see, somebody that hasn't had a turn yet. Leo, did you have your hand up? What did you want to say, Leo? I'm trying to unmute you, but it's not working. There we go.
I think I'm going to make a project, but I haven't made it because the mailman hasn't delivered it because my glitter is going to come out in 4 days and my penguins is going to come out in 2 days.
You're making something with penguins
Yeah, but
and glitter?
but we still haven't get all the ingredients yet because we need more money.
Well, yeah, you can't necessarily buy all the supplies at once. Sometimes you have to buy a few, and sometimes you have to wait for things to go on sale, right?
Yeah.
But that's okay. I would love to see your project about penguins. Did you do a little bit of writing about penguins?
No, but I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna put a penguin inside a jar with water, with glitter.
Inside a jar with water. Ooh, I know what you're making. Very cool. You're making a snow globe with a penguin inside.
Yeah,
awesome.
but I'll have to wait for the glue to dry up so the penguin can stick in there.
Yes, but do you know what you can do? Same as Alina.
What?
You could write down the directions for your project.
I couldn't hear Miss Alina because I kind of mixed up the wires.
Oh, that's okay. So if you want to share, you don't have to do this, Leo, but if you would like to, you could share the directions for your project with me. If you write them down, and then I could send them to everyone else so they could make a snow globe too.
Oh.
You could think about it.
Okay, but it's gonna take for days.
Okay, yeah, those good projects usually do take a few days. You keep working on it. Let me know. I'd love to see a picture when it's done, okay?
Yeah, but I have 0 supplies left.
Okay, well, whenever you get the supplies. Okay, Nigel, what can I do for you?
I saw a baby bunny, a cute baby bunny last night, and I have like robin nests, one in the front and one in the back, and I think I have rabbits living in our backyard because I always see them when I come to the park.
That reminded me, Nigel. I completely forgot. I have a robin who made a nest over my front door. And the cool thing is, it's right in front of a window. So I can look through the window from the inside of my house and watch everything going on in the nest. I can't believe I forgot to tell you. I'm going to try to take a video of it.
Okay.
Thanks, Nigel. Yes, Sam.
I made a project.
I'd love to hear about it. Oh. Did you fold? Is that a Lego or is that folded paper?
It's folded paper.
Here, let me.
It's a lot of little pieces of folded paper.
Holy moly! How long did that take?
Like a couple minutes.
Wow.
To fold all the pieces, like 10 minutes to fold all the pieces.
That's amazing. Well, you'll have to send me the instructions for that.
Oh, I can send you the instructions for one piece.
Yeah, I'd love it. I bet there's lots of people who'd like to make that. Thanks, Sam. Very cool. All righty, Adam, last question. Oh, and then Rashawn, and then that'll be it.
I have a bird's nest under I have a bird's nest under my deck.
Oh boy, under your deck. What kind of bird?
I think it was a robin. The one with Oregon. Huh?
Oh, an oriole. Okay. Cool. That's exciting. I've been trying to lure those in my yard as well.
There are a bunch by my house.
Really?
I find a lot of them.
That's very cool. I think they like to eat fringes.
That you eat in bird oil.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. That's exciting. Okay, I see you, Svea. I'll be right with you. Rishan.
I saw a deer and then a baby deer.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Very cool. In your yard?
I have like a forest preserve in the back, and I saw them.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool. If I had a forest preserve in my backyard, I don't think I'd ever stop looking out the window. Okay, Svea, what's up?
We have a robin's nest over here in place. Yes, right
Oh, yeah?
here. Wait, can I? Wait.
Oh, I see it up in your gutter.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And
Very cool. Can you see what's happening in there?
At first, there was just a robin hanging out, and then a few hours later, they started building the nest.
Uh-huh.
And then they abandoned it.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Thanks for showing that to us. Okay, Kaya, I saw you. Can you unmute yourself, dear? Thank you.
Yes.
What did you want to say, sweetheart? Oh, we're going somewhere.
I saw baby deer
You did. That's cool.
in
Isn't that the best?
Michigan.
And a chicken.
No, in Michigan.
Oh, in Michigan. That makes more sense. Okay, you saw a baby deer in Michigan. That's lucky. This is that time of year, isn't it? Okay, last one.
I saw 3.
3 of them. Oh my goodness. Last one is Alina.
We in our front yard, right next to our porch, we have a bird's nest, and sometimes with our neighbor, we use a fishing trick, and we stick a tool inside the ground, and it kind of like electrocutes all the worms, and then the worms start popping up, and we catch them all and put them in a tiny box and feed them to our birds, to the baby birds.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Okay, well, that works. All right. So I'm going to let you know that Carissa had a wasp in her house. It was very scary because it was very big. Glad you're okay, Carissa. And Ava saw goslings taking a dip. How lucky is that? You guys are seeing a lot of wildlife. I would love for you to write about the wildlife that you see. Write a little description of what you saw, where you saw it, where it was making its living, and maybe draw a picture. And I'm going to unmute you so you can say goodbye. We have had the longest read aloud ever today.
Hi.
So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, wait. I forgot, 9:30 tomorrow, grace and courtesy lesson for getting together with your friends online. Don't forget to come. 9:30 tomorrow.
Mrs. Fortune.
Yes, Leo.
I can show you. I can show you the TV. Look, I can show you.
Yes, I saw. I'm on your big TV, huh? Or is that the monitor?
Right, myself TV.
That's kind of a weird feeling, Leo, to be able to. Oh no, it's Mrs. Min. It's weird for me to think of myself showing up on the TVs at your house. Okay, guys, I'm gonna close down. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, Eleanor, friends.
TV.
Okay, bye, guys. Bye, everybody.